Hi, welcome to Sunday Unpacked. As you can see, Monica is not with us this week. She's on a mission trip in Austria. And so we have a special guest, one of my favorite special guests, our kids minister, who happens to be married to me too. LeAnn Jones is with us because we thought it might be nice for her to join us. You hear all about me all the time on the podcast and sermons. Everybody knows everything about Pastor James, but some people don't know much about our kids minister. So we thought it'd be a good idea to let her be part of this. So welcome, Mrs. Jones.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
All right. So we'll just see where the conversation goes, but I've got some questions that I thought might be interesting to our listeners as they find out a little bit more about you. So let's back up to early life. Of course, I know the answer to most of these questions, but they don't. Hey, you might even surprise me. So we'll see.
Right.
So tell us, that's right. So tell us a little bit about your Christian journey, your early church life, and what church was like when you were growing up. How, when you decide to follow Jesus, all those questions are fair game. So just go wherever you want to go.
Okay. Well, I grew up going to church my whole life. I didn't know what life was like without church. It was a church that my grandfather founded, and so our family was heavily involved. Not just because my grandfather founded it, just because we just loved being there. My parents were involved, and so I was there all the time, and whatever was going on. For the phrase, every time the church door was open, we were there, and that was me. Whatever they needed help with, as I was got old enough to help, that I was doing that. My dad was Sunday school superintendent for many, many, many years, and a lot of times when he was doing something special for Sunday school, I remember one time going over there when I probably couldn't have been any more than 5 years old, but we needed to stuff envelopes for something he was doing. So there I was in the middle of all of my family, 5 years old, helping stuff envelopes for that. So that was just my life growing up. And so it was.
I gave you practice for when you were church secretary and you stuffed bulletins.
See, there you go. Yep. Who knew? Decades later. So we just were always there and constantly involved. So I was hearing about Jesus a lot. I think the first time I really, it kind of dawned on me, though, what I was hearing. I was still pretty young, exactly I would say probably first grade, when I thought, I believe this. I believe that Jesus loves me, and I wanted for him to come into my life and my heart. And I know a lot of people think, well, that's really young. And did you really believe that? Yeah, I really believed that. So, so I just grew up building on that foundation constantly, going to church camps. And that was the highlight, I guess, as far as growing up in church and what was the most important things to me. I guess the first thing I think about during, especially this time of the year, is church camps. And we had a big mission convention every year where missionaries would come in from all over the world, and we could hear their testimonies. And it was a very exciting time for faith, for church people to come in, building community. We would have a huge homecoming after the missions convention every year, and people that had been part of that family of faith would come back, and it was just this huge family reunion. So I felt a lot of community in my church family, and it was an extension of my family.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is it was so different from me, because when my family went to church, it was one pew, and it was one of the shorter pews in the building because there was a big column beside it. So it was my mom, my dad, my brother, my mom, my grandmother, me, my grandfather, and that was the only family we had in the whole church. Whereas your family made up 20 pews.
Yes, there was a lot of us at that time. My mom had several siblings that still attended there, and of course, so that meant I had a lot of cousins. And so, yeah, going to church was like seeing my family, but it was also an extension of that with other friends and things like that. And it was just, I loved it. It was a joy to be at church. Whether it was for Sunday school or for VBS or camps or youth group as I got older. I eventually started helping my mom when I was probably junior high school, and I began to help her teach her pre-K class. By the time I was in high school, I was teaching my own class. And as you know, when we were dating, back when the landlines were a thing and we'd be talking on the phone on a Saturday night, and my mom would pop on and say, "It's time to study your Sunday school lesson. You have Sunday school in the morning."
She would indeed.
So, so yeah, that was just, it was just part of my life. And I remember the first time I was not able to be part of those things, and I was working. I had grown up. It was summer after high school, and I had a job. It was time to do those things, and I wasn't part of those things, and it was terrible. I just felt like I was missing out, and it was kind of upsetting to me. But so,
Well, the trade-off was you met a charming young man at that
well,
department store.
exactly. Exactly.
Let's
It was
don't
well
forget
worth
that
it.
part.
I,
That's right. I think about your mom, and you mentioned church camp, and your mom loved church camp too. Your whole family did, but like your mom continued to volunteer in church camp till I don't know
she
she's
was in her
85 now. Yeah,
she was in her 70s, and
she just kept going.
she just kept going. She and my grandmother actually ran the craft program for many, many years. And again, that was another thing I helped with. We loved to paint plaster of Paris, and so I would help pour the plaster into the forms and take them out and things like that. And that was a big deal for me. But when my grandmother got where she couldn't do it, my mom did it, and then eventually, she was in her 70s. She
I
was a
wonder
camp
how old
counselor.
your grandmother was Nanny Holder. Is what everybody called her Nanny. I mean,
Yeah,
it wasn't just her
everybody.
family.
Yeah.
I wonder how old she was when she last went to camp. I bet she was close to 80 some of those
I
years.
think definitely, for
She lived
sure.
to be 99, so she
Yeah.
was
She
pretty
would go even if it was just for the day.
right.
And we're talking South Georgia here, so it was
Hot.
sometimes it was like it was today all week long. So, she's probably in her 80s before she decided she couldn't do that every day. So she would go
Well,
down and visit for a day.
she loved being around the kids and loved seeing what was
Absolutely.
happening, and
They
you know,
loved her.
she
So
didn't ever want to
that's my
not be part
heritage.
of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's move forward a little bit. After we got married, of course, we were working as volunteers at first, and then in churches where we were on staff in various roles. So, how did you get involved in being in kids ministry as an adult? What was that, and why did you want to do that?
Um, well, after we had made the decision, the choice to go into ministry, and we would go into churches that might not have many children at all, but then there wouldn't be much for them. I just saw the need, and I would just volunteer to help, whether it was a class for preschoolers or elementary kids on a Wednesday night. I think because I had the background with helping and teaching already, it was kind of a natural extension to do that and just get involved because I enjoyed being around kids and teaching them, and I hated to see them come to church and there not really be anything for them.
Right. The first church where before we went into ministry, when you were in college and I was working, regularly there was just two children really. And they were sisters, and that was
Yeah.
basically it. But
Hmm.
maybe a few more here and there. Maybe there was like one more that was a granddaughter of one of our members. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Hmm.
we were talking the other day because we just came through Vacation Bible School, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But our first Vacation Bible School we worked on together was probably in 1990. Um, and we've done it not every year, but most every year since then. So Vacation Bible School has been part of virtually every summer of our married life. You could count on one hand, I'm sure, the summers that we didn't participate in Bible school.
Hmm.
So that,
Yeah. And it just,
ministry's been part of it, but kids ministry's been part of both of our lives for much of that time too.
and just because I'm the kids minister doesn't mean you don't get your share of
I
opportunities
know, right.
to be involved in kids ministry?
Well, we've always enjoyed it, and even in various churches, it gives people like me who are not in there every week an opportunity to be around the kids, get to know the kids, let them get to know us, and I think that's one of the advantages of Vacation Bible School is even if you're not involved in it every week, the kids are around people that care about them, and they get to know these adults that that this is a good place, a safe
Absolutely.
place, and I think those are good things. So
Absolutely.
anyway, so how long have you been like? And I guess this is a couple of different ways, but I said how long you've been on church staff, but like you've served as a church secretary for a number of years, but especially in kids ministry, how long have you served on church staff as kids minister?
I was thinking about this the other day, and I think I came on part-time. It was my first paid position, but that's been about 18 years ago
Yeah.
now. I came on staff when our daughter was just young, still. Our oldest daughter was still young, and came on part-time, and then moved to another church, and I was full-time there for several years. And then we moved here, and I took 3 years and taught at Vision Way, and then I came on here, and I'm going on my 10th year here.
So you are a veteran for sure. And what do you enjoy about it? I mean, I know some of the things we talk about that you enjoy, but what would you say is your favorite part of being a kids minister?
Um, there's several things, and I know this. Thinking through the question, this is going to sound simplistic, but I just kept coming back to it. And but it's the kids. I mean, honestly, it is seeing them on Sunday mornings or when we have special events. It just there's nothing like being around a group of kids to give you I don't know, encouragement and purpose. And I don't want it to make it all about me, but I mean, that is why I do this and why I want others to be on board and do it. They just, they're little sponges, and they are eager to learn, they're eager to serve, and to be a part of that, their faith formation and their faith journey, thinking back about mine and everyone who was there for me and pouring into me and helping me along and giving me opportunities. And so, yeah, that's what I enjoy the most is just being with the kids and teaching or helping or whatever I can do for them. Whether it's like this morning we had playing popsicles and just being out there and getting to know them and just having fun, or
And
Sunday
sweating.
mornings and sweating.
It was hot out there.
It was a little warm.
And I think one of the unique things about our ministry here is we've been here 12 and a half years now, and I mean, because you're a kids minister and we've been involved in that, like we've seen a whole generation of kids basically move through our kids ministry, either while you were volunteering, and you were really involved in the kids ministry before you were on staff. I mean, you
Yes.
volunteered every Sunday.
I did, yeah.
And that's been a different experience because we've never stayed in one place that many years, and to see those kids move, some of the kids you taught in kindergarten are almost through with high school now.
They'll be
And
seniors in high school this year.
right. So that's been it's been a rewarding thing to see all those kids just move through the life of the church. Also makes you a little sad to see them
Yeah,
almost
it
grown
does.
and moving
Yeah.
on to other things, which is just what we want them to do. But
Absolutely. It's,
they've been part
kind
of our
of,
lives.
yeah, yeah. In some ways it's, well, I even tell my fifth graders this as they go on into the junior high ministry, and, it's bittersweet for me because I've just enjoyed being around them so much, and they need to go on and they're ready to go on. They should
Right,
go
we
on,
want
but
them to, but
absolutely. But, it's kind of hard. It's kind of, again, for that community of faith, the family, the extension of family. And I think, as we have not lived near family for almost 37 years now, church is our extended family. Church is
Right.
part of our lives. And so we become attached. And so it's a little bit hard to explain, but the way we feel it's personal. It is.
It
It gets
is,
to be
yeah.
personal.
Yeah. So what's the biggest challenge?
I'd say one of the biggest challenges, and I don't think it's not unusual for kids ministry, but yeah, just keeping the the volunteer roster filled, and that's not unique to us. I
No.
will brag. I will stop and brag on my volunteers right now because I have a great group of volunteers. Probably one of the best I've worked with. They're faithful and they do what they can to be here. And when they can't, they let me know. And, and they're great with the kids. They're wonderful, but sometimes there's just not enough of them to go around. So that's always a big challenge.
Do you, and if you don't know, it's okay. Do you know how many volunteers are not like VBS volunteers, but regularly scheduled volunteers? Do you know how many we have currently?
Oh, 30-ish.
Okay. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot when you think
Yeah,
about a
yeah,
month of rotations, because lots of people serve 1 week of the month, and then it
right.
starts over. So
Yeah, our
lots of
schedule's,
slots every Sunday, and then
yeah.
the
We do
rotation.
one
So
Sunday a month per volunteer, and let's say I'd like to have three people in nursery on at the 10 o'clock hour per week, and a couple the 8:30 hour, and then you just keep multiplying that out, and it does add up. So
right, right. Oh, so we just came through Vacation Bible School. It was a good week. I think you
hmm
said we
that was a
averaged
great week.
91 kids, roughly, something like that.
Yeah, we averaged 91
But more
kids, which was
important,
fantastic.
it was just a good week. I mean, it was, we've had vacation Bible schools where the building flooded. That was a few years ago, and
Yes.
other crazy things that have happened, bad weather and all sorts of stuff. But it was just really so smooth this year, and we had, great volunteers, and but it takes a lot to make VBS happen, right? I mean, people notice as they come in the Sunday before always, wow, there's a lot of decoration here.
hmm
But people who don't come to VBS don't see that's just one, like that's one, it's a big piece, but it's one piece of
One
a whole
piece.
lot more. So
Exactly.
walk through that process. When did you start planning VBS, and what are the big pieces that you have to work on to make Vacation Bible School happen?
Um, well, every publisher in the middle of VBS week seems to put out their VBS for the next summer. So, probably a year out, we're already looking at VBS themes for the next year. Usually we go with the publisher who has written our curriculum for Sunday mornings. They have a VBS, and we usually go with that. So most of the time, we kind of know that already about a year out. But January, we go ahead and order it, and I meet with my team. That's another element of kids ministry. There is a team that meets once a month that helps plan VBS and other special events and what goes on Sunday morning. So we'll get together and we'll decide what we want to do and who's doing what. And that's in January. March, usually I start putting together, okay, does anyone new want to come on board who hasn't volunteered before? Start thinking about graphics, getting those out there so we can make our own graphics to start advertising and put out for child registration. So that's usually a couple months out. So then we're talking about, okay, from the volunteers, what do you want to do? Trying to get those organized. So it's a process, and then supplies. When I get my station leader said, what do you want activities do you want to do? Let me know what supplies so we can put those out there for the congregation to buy for us. So then organizing all those that come in, making sure I've got enough T-shirts. There's all kinds of little details. With the worship team. Thankfully, we had live worship.
It was
Neil,
really nice.
it
Yeah.
was it was wonderful. Neil volunteered to do that for us this year. But that's making sure there's practices and what music we're going to do and who's going to help, and so there's all these things that really, and then making sure it's all ready to go. So we have to start out 6 months in advance, pretty much from where we are. And then the week before, it's some late nights and all days and things like that to try to make sure everything's ready to go.
Well, we always talk about your busy season is like there's everything getting ready for Easter because we have the big family experience and Easter egg hunt and all that, and then Mother's Day is a big piece in there, and then VBS, and that's like those few months are so just jam packed with events. But it's more than just events; it's planning for the event and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So Sometimes after VBS, you can at least take a little bit of a breath, though there's always the next thing. I mean, we're just not like
Right.
we're bored ever. As we think about VBS and volunteering, I always just think it's such a, and I know we're not recruiting now for VBS, but I always just think it's such a good time for people to, just put their toe in the water for, it's just 4 days, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and if you're thinking maybe I would like to get involved in some part of kids ministry, and that doesn't mean you're necessarily teaching. I mean, we have all kinds of roles, as you mentioned, people taking pictures, people preparing snack, doing crafts, so all kinds of stuff. Um, but it just gives you an idea of, oh, well, maybe I would like this, or maybe it's not for me.
Exactly.
It also lets you get to know, because you're always working with other adults, and you almost always get to know somebody, an adult, better during vacation Bible school because you spent 4 nights together that you wouldn't have. So I think there's all kinds of benefits for just,
Mm-hmm.
even if you don't do kids ministry at other times, to jump in. What
Absolutely.
was meaningful to you last week? What
Oh,
got your attention?
actually, I think you just touched on that. I just think that a lot of volunteers putting in a lot of time, working all day, whether at
Right.
home or on their job, and coming in and just doing a fantastic job helping the kids and being there for them. Just their willingness and their sweet spirits, and just it was great. We had a really good group, and
We did.
so
I mean, and a lot of people involved in
a lot
leading,
of
from small
people.
group leaders to station leaders to,
Hmm.
that was good. Was there
I had
anything that you wish had gone a little different this year?
Uh, there's always something, because VBS, no matter how many times I do it, I always learn. I always learn something that needs to be changed or improved or could be done differently. So I actually have a couple ideas in mind, and I haven't really fleshed this out with my kids ministry team yet. But you know, maybe how we do dismissal. I know that seems like a kind of a mundane thing, but maybe we could do that better to ensure, that it's not quite as chaotic and busy,
Yeah,
and
because
better for
everybody's ready
parents to
to
pick up their
scatter.
kids.
That's the thing. Everybody's
Yes,
like they're
everybody's
ready to
coming in at
go,
one
and
time and looking for their kids all over the place, and so I'm not sure what we do with that, but I just that's one of the things that maybe we could do better.
yeah, yeah. So there, occasionally somebody will come to me after church, and it's like they I know they want to ask me something, but they're a little bit afraid to do it. And they'll say, I've noticed I never see your wife in church. So, like, where is she? And so, for those people who may be wondering why we never sit together in church and why you're never right there, what does Sunday morning look like for you? What are you doing on a Sunday morning?
Um, it varies from week to week. Usually, when people come in, I try to be in the Vision Way entryway, because that's where all our check-in is for our families, to greet the families and the kids and welcome guests who haven't been there before. Checking to make sure everything's going well in the nursery, and if anybody's running late, to kind of hang back and see if I need to stay there until my volunteers get there. Checking to make if there's any last minute questions or details in the gym, or so I'm always over on that side, kind of like a ping pong ball for a little while. Most of the time, I usually settle in the gym though. Again, going back to volunteers, I don't have quite enough volunteers to go around on Sunday morning in the gym. So most of the time, I'm leading a small group of kids in the gym. So if you want to find me, that's the area to find me. It's between the nursery and the gym on Sundays.
Well, there was a day when the preacher's wife was at the piano all the time, right? I mean, we got that a lot
Mm-hmm.
early in our ministry. We would interview with a church, and the first thing they would ask you is, "Do you play the piano?"
Piano.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
We thought we
no,
were getting a 2-for-1 special.
right?
Was actually someone said that to
It's
me.
actually sad, yeah. So that's just not the model that we've followed. We've gone in a little different direction, and it's just been it's been good, and we've enjoyed it, and it's just not what some people might expect. So if you wonder
Sure.
where the minister's wife is, she's busy with the kids almost every Sunday. Anything you're thinking about as we look in, what's coming up? It doesn't have to be this year, next year, long distance in the future. Anything that's you're dreaming about, thinking about, hoping for in terms of kids ministry?
Oh, goodness. Well, there's several things. Some of them are really long distance, some of them not as much. I'd like to do a better job with our children with special needs. I would like to have better tools here for them to be able to be able to learn, so they feel like this space is for them as well. So that's something that's on my heart and mind, and I'm actually part of a kids ministry cohort, and we're kind of talking through some things like that, how we can do that better. So that's something I'm wanting to work on. It's a little challenging, especially in our elementary, because we have one big room for everyone.
Right. It's not, the space is not ideal.
The space is not ideal, but what can we do with the space that we have in order to help children who need something different? So that's one thing I want to try to work better on, and just maybe I've started this a little bit recently, but I'd like to continue just touching base with my volunteers and making sure they have what they need, and as far as whether they need more information about the group they're working with or something in their space that would be helpful for them, and just kind of continue to do that and build them up so that they feel more prepared, and we'll just continue on. It's just it's important that they feel prepared and honored in what they're doing. So, I mean, there's lots of things. Again, the Family Resource Center, just keep doing that, maybe doing some things, tweaking some things to make that a little bit better for our families, more of things available there. So, and there's always things that tweaking different events, reevaluating things that we've done. Do we want to introduce something new? So that's always something that we're doing. So we introduced a new event this year, Crafty Kids, and we did it a couple times and went over super well. So yeah, and just different things like that, So always evaluating, reevaluating, the ways that we can build into what we already have, or maybe we need to let something go and bring something new in. Right now, we're thinking about probably need to think about a different curriculum for Sunday mornings for various reasons. But so that's the next biggest thing that we're going to do, just to make sure our kids have a really good curriculum.
Big change.
Yeah, big change though.
All right. Anything else you want to add, or you said it all, or?
No, I just this has been good, and I enjoy what I do, and I think for the people that I have surrounding me and my volunteers, and it's been a blessing for me to be here with our families. So, I appreciate all this.
All right. Well, it's good to hopefully let everybody get to know somebody that I know pretty well. And next week we'll be a little bit more back into our regular schedule. Monica will still be out of town, out of the country. But Pastor Neil will be back from CIY. Of course, our students are at CIY this week at their youth conference, so a lot going on with them too. But we'll discuss the sermon next Sunday. And if you have questions, always remember you can text them to 404-565-4498 or email them to questions@taylorvillechristian.com or write them on the Connect card. And it seems like more often than that, people just ask me, which is just fine as long as I remember that they asked. Most of the time I do. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we hope everyone has a great week.
Have a great week.